Welcome back, guys, to OWL003, where I'm mapping the matrix one target at a time. And a couple things. First, when you do this, as much as I do, which I'm running, about 3 sessions a week, okay, on the average, you're constantly using, whatever you want to call it, the psychic mechanism, whatever. But you use it so much, you're like a tuning fork, okay? You just sense your environment, when something's going on, something's off. And I'm not going to go too much detail about this, but I got the impression that I had something was off. That I was under some kind of observation, right? So I'm like, maybe I'm paranoid. So I task it out 3 times to 3 different people, all telling me the same thing. Surveillance regarding a particular piece of work you did. Fine. So I task it, I reach out to someone outside of my immediate group, and they get the same information. So, same kind of thing. So, here's the deal. If there's a piece of information that's not covered under an NDA, this goes directly to these people, this organization, whatever. And I can share it with you. I'm happy to do that. Or if you need me to, if you want me to do some work for you or something, or work for you exclusively at a premium rate, I'm happy to do that too. But if I feel that I am being observed, watched, monitored, I'm going to have to take my resources and my mechanism pointed back at you to figure out what's going on. So let's cut the shit. If you have something to ask me or talk to me, or you need work done, knock on my door or call me. So now that we got that out of the way, I want to talk to you a little bit about predestination. Now, I've seen out there that someone's running a project as it regards to time. So, instead of wasting 5 years of your life, I want to go through something with you, okay? What's on my screen is actually part of a case on what's worked. I'm just going to tell you in a general way, in a sense, okay? So, something was missing, okay? And it was a small item. Ended up being in a like a purse, right? That they had been carrying on their person. Now, when I went through the monitored session, my last session on this is the claim. It doesn't look like much. It's actually early on, but so the last thing I said to the monitor was, "Are you sure this target isn't like a basket or a purse?" No. Okay. So, the item ended up being on the client's person the entire time, in their purse. Now, they ended up finding it, okay, after the fact. After all these viewers put all this work in. Okay, so where am I going with this? So, even though I basically put the information right in front of their face. Now, other viewers on this too were giving all kinds of information indicating that this was on their person. They had all this, So, but the the question remains is everyone had this kind of assumption that this was not on her person. Okay, so it had to be off of them, right? So there's this built-in assumption in the project, including coming from the client, that it's, we have to go find this thing, right? So she ends up finding it in the purse. So again, when I talk about the algorithm, everything that I've seen, like if you're really going to start and poke and prod at this whole mechanism, I think it's going to save you a lot of time if you start looking at what we're doing here, like we're working in a system of some kind. Okay, so for whatever reason, they didn't get that information. Now, you have amazing remote viewers out there that can go out there, remote view stuff that we don't have feedback for at this moment, but maybe later on we will, or maybe unverifiable, it looks probable, or even stuff that is totally verifiable and they seem to do great on it. Just anywhere in time and space, and you'll have a certain degree of accuracy and average, right? Now, let's say somebody comes to you, they lost their car keys. And you're going to watch these people. Now, not to say that they can't find them, because they actually may. But what I'm saying is let's say we're running an experiment. I'm going to put something in a spot, and let's see if the viewer can find it. Oh, look what they draw. This equals to that. This equals to that. Look at it. Oh, great job. Great. I'm saying that's going to have a higher degree of accuracy as then if somebody came to you and said, "Oh, I lost this item. Can you remote view it to find it?" And the reason why I believe this is because, again, there is a predestination to every facet, or most facets, to what's happening here. You can take this divergent path, but and the system will shut down on you in just whatever number of ways it needs to in order to get everything back to nominal, levels. So when people talk about, murder cases, so bringing a kid home using remote viewing, great. How many kids have you brought home using remote viewing? Again, I'm not saying you can't, it doesn't work or whatnot, because it can. But if you pay attention, you'll see the system works in a particular way. Now, this is why people talk about you don't work murder cases unless the police come to you first. That's true. There's actually a lot of reasons for that. One, you don't want to become a suspect because nobody asked you to help, and all of a sudden you get all this information. But for two, you're going to have the percentage is going to be much greater of actually, finding this person or whatnot through the police, because action has been set in motion to go get the, to access you, to go find this, and but from everything I've seen, there is a predestined aspect to this, to what we're doing here. You sit at a table, you play a card game. Everybody gets 5 or 6 cards. No matter what order you play those cards in, you got the same cards. You don't get to switch hands. So again, this comes back to, I can't point this remote viewing at something that's going to completely change my life trajectory, where I am going to live this, extravagant multi-billion-dollar lifestyle. It's not how it works. There is a main trajectory, or it seems to be, for my path and yours and everything else. And as a remote viewer, when you're trying to do precognitive targeting, you can, as long as you're not making any significant changes to the rest of the system. And as soon as you do, it starts plugging it up. It starts plugging the holes. So again, there seems to be. So okay, so you can bump the system. I mentioned this before when I was doing horse racing. I kept trying every different way. I mean, I cannot tell you how many different ways I've tried to pin it down. And the harder I tried to pin it down, the harder it would spring back upon me. Now, again, some people have like luck with it, but it is my belief that it's because they were meant to win this particular thing, or they get with a group of guys and they win this to do that. But I have not seen a consistent situation where someone's literally. I mean, where you're literally, just win after win after win. It seems to work a completely opposite of that. As a matter of fact, if I wanted to go place a wager of some kind using remote viewing, I would recommend your best chance would be to have someone that's never remote viewed, either never remote viewed or never used remote viewing in this way, is going to be your best odds. Because the system at that point in time for that particular person doesn't really know what's going on, what's been, and it's going to take it a minute before it starts to plug it up. So again, I advise you to experiment. Set something up. Since the remote viewer's out, they're going to find it. Now, wait for somebody to actually get lost and try and solve this, and you'll feel that there's other ties to it. Now, I have helped find life. I have helped find things. I have, but I have seen where there seems to be this other element of pushback. And I want you to seriously consider that there's no way to prove that all of this isn't pre-written. I mean, you have this illusion of choice and all this and that, but you still can't prove that this was every choice that you're about to make, everything that you're about to do is not predetermined. There's no way to not prove that that's the case. But again, I look at this as a system and how you could work it and how you could best make use out of it. So that's what I found. And if you're getting some kind of consistent thing, you're trying to pin it down, and you're for like days on end, your subconscious gets bored with it really quick. So again, I don't think it's necessarily numbers that's the problem. That's another thing that you go back to. If you set up an experiment where you're trying to prove that I could remote view numbers, I'm probably going to show you that I can remote view numbers, or I have in the past. Now, that's a totally different experiment than let's take this out and use it on the lottery. It's a different experiment. And you will see when you experiment, that's the way it's likely going to behave. Now, I think this whole mindset of, like, this person could remote, maybe it's this person that could remote, that's bullshit. That's all bullshit. And if you see enough and you're paying attention, if you're remote viewing a lot, it's not hard to see that this is kind of how it behaves. Again, I go back to that where I was trying to do a horse race. I did five quick sessions. I had all these names associated, and I was so excited. And I figured I'll just pummel the system in one shot. I'll do these 5 quick races all over the world, and it can't shut me down. I was so mistaken. Like clockwork. around the globe. This race scratched. This race canceled. This race horse down. This race sick. I mean, across the world, in Australia, in Japan, it could not paint a more clearer picture. Again, that doesn't say don't go out and try it. You've got to test the boundary for yourself and see what you can get away with. But from what I found in remote viewing, interestingly enough, whenever I use remote viewing in order to chase something, it seems like the further it gets away from me. So, just something to think about. And we'll catch you next time, guys.